What if you got charged a 30% tax to buy food, clothing, a car, and anything in this world? Well, that is what's being discussed right now. There's a new Republican tax proposal that is out, and I want to address what it actually does and what it could do to the American people. Now, ever since Democrats passed the $80 billion to the IRS, Republicans have made it their target to remove this funding at all costs. And in their latest efforts, they have introduced a new bill. This bill is called the Fair Tax Act. Now, what is in this bill? Well, the main provision within this bill, and it's over 100 pages long, this would establish a 30% sales tax on all purchases, all across the United States. And the purpose behind this, well, for one, it would include goods and services. So you pay to get your hair cut, guess what? If it costs you $10, you're going to pay $13 because you also got to pay a 30% tax. And I know you're probably thinking, well, where do you get your hair cut for $10? You don't. Well, what if you decide to buy a $100 piece of clothing? Let's say it's a pair of pants and a shirt or a sweatshirt, whatever it is. Well, on top of that, you're also going to pay a 30% tax. Yeah, they want to tax us 30%. But in exchange for that 30% tax, they would remove other taxes coming on the federal level. For instance, we would actually get rid of the federal income tax. This means that currently it is 10%, 12%, 22%, 24%, 32%, 35%, and 37%. So if you are in the upper tier, guess what? You pay less money. You pay less taxes. Now, if this bill were to pass, and I want to be very clear on this when I say if it were to pass, because it likely will not. And there's a reason why I'm telling you this and reason why I'm making this video so you understand what's on the table. President Biden has already said if any of these bills that Republicans send to try to pass, if they get sent to his desk, that means the Senate also has to pass these. He would veto them immediately. He's not going to let them go through. Now, if this were to pass, this would simply abolish the IRS and direct states to collect the new federal tax. And even though every consumer would pay the same 30% tax at the register, here's the difference. This bill would provide a monthly rebate payment based on the current poverty rate and your family size. That's the difference. Now, the goal with this bill is an attempt to pretty much offset the tax levy on low-income households who spend a very high percentage of their income on goods and services. But this is where Democrats say, no, this isn't good enough. Some have pushed for 10%. Some have wanted to see a 10% flat federal tax for years, but it's never happened. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what are Republicans attempting to do? Especially if they know this is never going to pass, why would they even waste their time to vote on it? Well, for one, they want to get Democrats on record voting against it. They want to get President Biden on record saying he's against this, because if they can come out and prove that this is better for the American people, well, then it could hurt President Biden and Democrats in general. But here's the truth. The truth is, this is not the first time that Republicans have proposed this style of bill. There was something very similar back in 1999, and the goal then was the same as it is now, is to stop Democrats from raising taxes on businesses and investors in order to pay for their social spending programs. However, some Republicans have already stated that this new bill would save lower income households money, simply because it would only tax them based off of what they buy, not based off of their income. So there would actually be a greater incentive for lower income households to make more money because you get to keep it all. You don't have to spend it. You don't have to pay taxes on it. Now, however, this is also where the statements coming out are not 100% true. And again, I try to be 100% transparent. Whether it's going to benefit Republicans, it's going to benefit Democrats, I want it to benefit you. That's what I care about. Now, in this bill, it would tax you 30% based off of whatever it is you buy. But the truth is that even now, 40% of U.S. households don't pay a single penny in federal taxes. In fact, during the past few years, roughly 50 to 60% of Americans didn't pay a single penny in federal taxes. So this could be why some lawmakers are wanting to adjust the tax code, because there's a large percent of our population are not paying a single penny in federal taxes. And it's simply because either they don't make enough, there's tax credits and rebates and deductions, right? And so they don't pay a single penny. And that's what some lawmakers are wanting. Now, the fight for now is going to continue because we are trying to figure out a way to fix the IRS, fix the tax system, the tax code to make it fair. The problem is it will never be fair. And I bring this up because as a business owner, I get a bunch of deductions. I get a bunch of things I can write off that I use for my business. Let's say I have a cell phone that I only use for business. Guess what? I get to write it off. Say I go on a trip to Las Vegas, right? And I want to go there to conduct meetings and talk to people and do some R&D, some research and development, right? Well, I could do that, and I could deduct the cost of the trip. Now, again, I'm not saying this. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. Go and talk to one. But the reason why people start businesses is because, for one, they don't want to work for somebody else. But another reason why is because they want to benefit from the deductions. That's where they want to benefit. Now, the IRS has stated that they're making changes. The only problem is they've had access to a portion of $80 billion for months now, and they've only made a handful of changes. The IRS, starting today, you can actually start to file your federal tax return for 2022. But here's the thing. The IRS has had money to use to go and make their operations much smoother and better. However, they haven't really done so, and they are starting the 2023 tax filing season with a backlog. That's a problem. So, I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on this 30% sales tax that Republicans have proposed? Do you think this is something that is potentially going to be good, or do you think this will just get looked at and pretty much just get pushed aside? Here's what I can tell you. This one bill will be looked at and it will be pushed aside. The fact that this bill, and the only reason why I brought up this is over 100 pages long, is because lawmakers put in the time and effort to craft this bill and make it over 100 pages long. This isn't just something they threw up overnight. This is something they have looked at, discussed, negotiated, and put together. The reason why I think this is an important bill, and the only reason why I'm discussing it, I think this is going to give not only Republicans but Democrats some kind of a path forward as to how we could potentially fix the IRS, fix the tax situation, because we have a problem here in the United States, and until we can get this under control, until we can reduce our spending or bring in additional revenue, we are going to have a major, major problem, especially when we're $31.4 trillion in debt. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but I promise you I will be here every step of the way. I will fill you in on any latest news and updates that we get. All I ask is if you can spend 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.